Hey, everybody, it's Effie inside your midday, and I am so honored to talk to. I'll tell you who she is later. I'm going to give you her name right now, but I'll tell you how I know her later. But she is Dr. Maya Dominique, an OB-GYN in the Northwest Indiana area, and getting ready for a major event. I'm telling you, you need to hear this. You need to tell somebody about this women's wellness fair, and she's going to get into it in a minute. But first of all, Dr. Maya Dominique, how are you today?
I'm actually doing pretty well, just doing a lot of running around, but everything is going quite well.
Well, great, great. I'm so glad that you could join us today. Man, you've got a big event happening like this weekend, April 26th. Tell us, well, we want to talk about the second annual Women's Wellness Fair, April 26th,
Mhm.
11 a.m. to 3 p.m. But first of all, I need for people to kind of know who you are. Tell us about you and how did your journey start in medicine?
So as you said, my name is Dr. Maya Dominique. I'm a board certified OBGYN physician. I'm originally from Wichita, Kansas, came to Chicago area by way of my training. So I went to medical school in Chicago, and then I did my residency at Mercy Hospital, which is in Chicago. I've always had a heart for the underserved, always wanted to serve the underserved. And so I ended up, long story short, getting a job here in Northwest Indiana serving the women in Gary and Maryville and East Chicago. I worked there for 4 years. I fell in love with the population, and I have not stopped since trying to figure out a way to make sure that these women in this area are taken care of.
Oh, now that is great. And it looks like you're really on a mission. You're on a mission to make sure they are taken care of, and which is why you started this wellness fair. Tell us how that came about, too.
Yeah, Yeah, absolutely. So when I was in residency, the word came out, it was really big. Black women are 2 to 3 times more likely to die in pregnancy. And I was right at the central hub where I could really make a difference. And even though I'm here in this area, I believe that if we really spread the word, and it just takes one person to know the signs and symptoms, that they can help their cousin or their friend or someone that is in an entire different state. It's going to take us as a community. And when I learned that, I got really busy, even in residency, starting to educate the emergency departments about signs and symptoms and when to call the physicians. Because a lot of the times, either Black women are not listened to, or sometimes the doctors, when they see a high blood pressure, they're thinking that it's normal. But for a pregnant woman, and especially someone that's within 6 weeks postpartum, that can sign an emergency. And so what I did was I said, you know what? I've got to do something. Worked at North Shore for the last 4 years as a general OBGYN, and I was making a huge difference. Loved my patients, had a great rapport with them. But I just felt like there's so many resources out here to prevent the deaths and the morbidity that occurs, which are morbidity basically means bad incidences that occur in our women, and especially our Black women and our Black babies. And so I said, I can do more if I leave this area, right, in the clinical setting and transition into more of opening my own clinic. And right now, what I do is it's called a locums OBGYN. I go into hospitals around the state of Indiana and abroad. I can go anywhere pretty much within the United States, and I provide care because there's such a great shortage. But it allowed me the time really to invest in my passion and what God really called me to do, which was provide holistic care and really touch women's lives and provide their care within their entire family so we can make the change one family at a time.
Wow, that sounds like you are busy. That probably keeps you busy like 24/7 almost. When do you sleep?
Well, actually, being right now, actually, it's better that I can focus on my passion because before I was pretty much working about 100 hours a week. I was working 3 days in the clinic. I was on call at least 10 times a month and also in the operating room. And even on my days off, I was still calling patients, doing tons of paperwork. But this allows me time actually to have a little bit more freedom and do the things that I really, really love doing.
Wow, that is amazing. We're talking to Dr. Mayo Maya. Okay, girl, help me. This is Lord, y'all. This is my cousin, but I'm okay. Maya. Sorry,
It's
Maya
okay, Effie. That's why
Dominique.
we love you. That's why we love you.
Oh, gee, I want to keep making your last name the first name.
That's
Dominique for some reason. But anyway, let's talk about man, healthcare. I mean, especially Why is it though, when you said Black women aren't listened to, they're not heard? Why is it? You got to just call it what it is. Why is there racism in healthcare when it comes to Black women and Black people, probably in general?
Yeah, so I mean, that is it's systemic. I was just listening to a reel the other day, and it was actually a white OBGYN that was talking about a provider, and she said that they asked her, "Have you ever seen a fourth degree laceration?" And a fourth degree laceration is when you basically, if you deliver vaginally, that basically you have a tear that really combines your vaginal hole all the way to your rectum, your vaginal outlet and your rectum. And so that can increase so many with pelvic floor dysfunction. It can create incontinence. And a physician literally took scissors and cut and created it instead of it being there. These things are still going on. And what we know is that it's been systemically in the space, right? We know that back in the day and during slavery times, Black women were practiced on. We even have to sign a paperwork now if we're doing a hysterectomy, because there used to be a thing that's called the Mississippi appendectomy. What they would do is they would actually remove the uterus of Black women without them knowing, and tell them that they basically removed their appendix. So this is something that has been going on for years. Now, have we made major strides? Yes. But what we are seeing is that Black women still, even with all the changes in technology, even though a lot of the racism is not overt as it used to be, or could be back in the day, they could just do whatever and it wouldn't matter. Still, Black women and Black babies still have a lower chance of survival and dying. And one of the things is, yes, listening to, as we know, Serena Williams, she was a big story, right? So that found out, whoa, it doesn't matter if you're famous or whoever, that can happen. I'm more likely as an educated Black woman to die in pregnancy than a white woman that doesn't have a high school diploma. So we know that systemically our neighborhoods are set up. Our health before we're pregnant definitely is one of the things that adds to that. And so if you look, for instance, in Gary, Indiana, there's one store typically that has, and it's called Country Market, that has your fruits and vegetables, but there are a lot of mom and pop shops or just corner stores. So before these women are pregnant, they're already set up in a way almost for failure. So when you add on the hypertension, the diabetes that plagues African Americans just in general, you add that on, plus the changes in the body in pregnancy, plus the I don't really know the changes in my body and I'm unaware, and then the systemic racism that exists, then that adds to that complex issue, and you start to see where all of this comes to be about.
Oh my goodness, that is devastating. That is
Yeah.
devastating. I mean, I just want to ask you one more thing. I mean, why? Why do they? I mean, this is 2025. This is the 21st century. I mean, they practice medicine. Don't they take an oath to help people? So,
Absolutely. But you're always going to have a bad apple in the bunch, right? Like you already know, like back in the day, you could overtly do that, right? We weren't even considered human beings. So, of course, that didn't matter. That was just within the system. And you can imagine if you're born in a certain family, if we were born in completely different families, the way our values and different things would be completely different, right? But I'm thankful that I'm born as a Black woman so I can stand up for Black women. And that reel also then had a Black OBGYN that came. She was in the same exact situation. Now, this is probably less than 10, 15 years ago, because she was a young physician. And it was a Black physician that was in the room. The white physician said, "Have you ever seen a fourth degree?" And it was a Black physician that stopped the doctor. She was actually a resident at the time, and stopped the doctor and said, "No, you will not do this." Regardless of what the outcome would have been, she stood up. And so that's why we're saying it is so important that we have a seat at the table, that we go into these areas of medicine, and that we are represented to make sure that everyone is taken care of.
remember the doctor during COVID? She was on the news. She was actually in the hospital, and she was telling the other physicians what she needed and what was wrong, and they still didn't address it. And I think she ended up dying. Do you remember that situation?
There's many of those. If
But I
that's
mean, she was
one that
all on
I'm
the news during
remembering,
COVID. She was
yeah,
all
there's
on the news.
yeah, yes, for sure. No, that and it happens. I mean, women are. I tell my patients, hey, I'm not inside of your body. Typically, most of the time, women know something's wrong even before it shows up. So if a woman is telling you something's going on, you have to listen. You have to make sure, typically I will go above and beyond. Typically sometimes in medicine, they may say, oh, well, maybe you shouldn't have done those particular tests. If someone is saying that they are experiencing something, I am going to listen. I would rather be on the other end of finding out that everything is okay than finding out that something is wrong after I've sent this lady home or after something happens and then I have a bad case. And so that is, it just really takes time. It takes compassion. It takes a calling, because no matter if you're in medicine or wherever you are, you have to listen to people and their needs.
That's true. Why is it so important for someone to accompany not only what we're talking about pregnancies now because you're an OB-GYN, but why is it so important for someone to accompany that patient?
That's called advocacy. And that is something that I am really, really keen on. I have 15 minutes every time I see a patient to tell them everything that they need to know, right? And what happens is these women come in with all of these prior conditions, or they come in with all these social issues, and that it takes longer than that. And most of the time, if you have someone that comes in the room, they can maybe recall something that the woman cannot recall, or maybe they can take in information so they can be that extra set of ears. There's two things that I talk to every patient when I round on them after they delivered a baby. The first thing I talk to them is about postpartum preeclampsia. It is something that can come back up to 6 weeks after delivery. And what I do when I'm talking to the moms, I include everyone that's in the room. I say, hey, this is information for you. I'm not just talking to the mom. The second thing I talk to them about is postpartum depression, because when postpartum depression occurs, typically the mom is in a position to where she may not even want to get help. She doesn't even feel like getting help. And it may take the person that's in their family to advocate for them to say that something's wrong or bring them in. And so it's so important. I actually have this thing that I'm giving at the health fair at my table, which is called the 10 questions to ask your doctor, because my patients didn't go to medical school. I tell people all the time, I am a physician. Doesn't mean that I'm more important than you. I just have a set of skills and I have a language that separates me. Like Effie, you have a set of skills and a language that separates us. So I couldn't come and do your job. You couldn't come and do my job. But what we can do is we can learn together so we can support the community. And if we think something is wrong, we can then advocate for that patient and say, no, this is what's been going on. And then if the doctor's like, no, okay, go home. No, we are not leaving until we figure this out. Or if you do leave, you go to a different hospital. Or if you have a doctor that's not listening, you find another physician, which just brings us to so many different points, because it's like, that's why you have to start prenatal care early. Because if you don't start prenatal care early, then there is a potential that you may go to a doctor that won't accept you after 24 weeks. So if you go early, you see that you're not being listened to, you have the time then to do something about it so you can advocate for yourself.
To shop around. A doctor can be fired like anybody else.
Absolutely.
Hey,
Absolutely.
tell us about this community-centered holistic health care that you are. Explain that. Explain that.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, 15 minutes, right? It's just not enough. My women come, they want to know. I find that women really want to know what's going on with their body. And it sometimes I can explain most of it in just layman's terms. You just sort of have to just sort of figure out how to let them know, show pictures. And what I will be able to do, instead of being within a system, I can create my own system, which is my own clinic, where not only are we just focused on just the issue that's at hand, but prevention, right? And beyond just prevention, but how is your sleep? How are you eating? Focusing what is your movement, and are you doing any physical activities? So being able to be holistic with the care versus just, oh, you come in, you have a problem, and you give you a pill to solve it. Let's go a little bit deeper and see where the issue begins. So then we can try to make sure that you can help yourself as well as help your family. You have children, you have the opportunity to change the diet of your children, right? We have the opportunity to change those things. So it's more time. And instead of focusing just at the disease, but focusing on how can we prevent the disease, and then looking at where the disease is coming from. And so that is what I'm planning on opening next year. That will be open. That will be Prenatal Well. But before we open, me and my husband said, we've got something we can do. We can get out in the community and we can do. I'm a full physician. I can do more than just sit in the office. I can do what I know needs to be done, or things that I felt that I was just like, oh my gosh, this patient comes to me, she doesn't have milk. Oh my gosh, this patient comes to me, she has postpartum depression. Oh my gosh, this patient is coming to me, she wants to change her career. Well, I didn't have access to that, which is then why we started Prenatal Well, and but then also started to do what we're going to go talk about, the wellness fair, in order to ensure that we started before we were in a brick and mortar.
Oh, wow. You are doing it, young lady. You are doing it. And it's so needed for this community, just for all communities. 15 minutes. I got to ask you that. That's the only time that the hospital or the clinic allows you guys to just have 15 minutes per patient?
So it's not what they allow, but
Mhm.
that is how you're scheduled. So, and it's not the hospital. So when you're in the hospital, you're in the hospital. If you're admitted in the hospital, they're not on the
I mean, when
schedule.
you're seeing a patient, like when you
But
go
when
into
you're
the
in,
doctor.
yes, well, even
Mhm.
in the hospital, you're not on the schedule. But in your clinic, oh yeah, you got a schedule. So you're
Okay.
talking about if you start at 9 o'clock and by noon, by the time you go to lunch, and they'll double book you. So you'll have two nines, three 9:15s, two 9:30s. And that's because, okay, well, so maybe some patient doesn't show up. But what we don't look at is these patients need more than that 15 minutes. And then we have the issues with patient compliance because they're like, well, why am I going to go to the doctor? They're taking too long. Me particularly, I was one of those physicians. My patients would wait an hour to see me. And when I would go in the room and see them, I would say, hey, you see how long I've been here with you? I've taken longer than the 15 minutes. But that is the time that we're allotted on our schedule. And if you don't make it within that time, your satisfaction of your patients go down because they're waiting to see you. And so it just creates just a space where it doesn't work. So you're trying to hurry up and get things done within that allotted time so you can make sure that you can see all of your patients in one day. But typically that can range from 30 to 40 patients. And that's not even including the notes that you have to write. That's not even including the education that these patients need. So it's, yeah, 15 minutes. That's what we're allotted.
So
15 minutes.
I can see how that easily added to 100 hours a week. That's a lot. That is
Yes,
a lot.
absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Well, as an OBGYN, we're on call. So what happens is because you're on call, that's 24 hours. So if I was on call three times out of the week, that's already what, 72 hours, right? So 72 hours just being on call, and my phone can ring at any point and I have to go in and work. Plus you have your time in the clinic, which was typically 24 hours. And then you have your operating day, which is typically a full 8 hour day. So yeah, easily on your busy call weeks, easily 100 hours, easily.
So was it too much on your body, taking too much of a toll on you? Was that the more of a reason for you to go into your own, prenatal well, or was it because you also could not address the patients? You really could not service them the way they desire or they needed, or was it both?
It was for sure both. I just, first it was really the patients, right? So that was more than my looking at myself as a physician. When you're a physician, you really go into this knowing that you are a servant, right? And that you are there to serve and you're not going to be comfortable. And you go into OB, they train you in residency that you're going to be up. Like that's just part of it. So I knew that, I knew that part. But the patients, I didn't want, I just couldn't do what I wanted to do. I just could not really capture them. And I'm like, well, if this is what's going on, I can do something about it. There are other ways to be a physician than just me go to the clinic every day and do it working for someone else. I can work for myself and create a life that I know works for not only my patients, but also myself. And when you say you want to serve the underserved, you got to be a little bit more flexible and a little bit more creative sometimes in the way that you do that, so you can provide service. And I'm a Black woman, so I can do culturally competent. I can provide that service to them. I know what Black women like. I know what all women like, but I'm a Black woman at the end of the day, so I know what works for us, right? And so it just creates a space where I can, instead of my clinic being a little sterile, I can create a clinic that's more of a spa environment, right? So women that may have never experienced to come in and actually have a relaxation room in a clinic, that doesn't exist. But when I'm on my own, I can do that. And so it was both. I mean, being overworked, I was overworked. At one point, I was covering three hospitals. So every night I was on call at Methodist North Lake, Methodist South Lake, and in East Chicago. So you can imagine the back and forth. Oh, someone's delivering over here. Oh, now I have to leave there and go over there. So it does create a toll on your body, on your mind, on your family, on your time. And so now I just have more time, but I'm also able to create. But that takes faith, because it takes a lot to jump out and do that, because I never saw myself as an entrepreneur. But as you know, Effie, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. So I can see how God, even though in my mind I was like, oh, I'm just going to work for someone else. That was never God's plan. He knew all along that I would be an entrepreneur and be just like majority of my family members.
I am so glad you did, because that was such wear and tear on your body. I mean, what's the point in having a physician that's not up, that's not healthy because you're just so tired and worn out. So I'm
Yep.
really glad you took a minute to say, hey, this ain't working. We can do better. So I am so
Yeah.
glad you did. But you are a young lady, so I know you probably have the energy, but still, that's a lot of wear and tear on your body. All right, now let's talk about this fair. Even though that clinic sounds like it's going to be like extravagant, it really sounds it's going to be like top notch. Can't wait to experience that, or at least to come and see it. But let's talk about the second annual Women's Wellness Fair. It's going to be a lot going on. Explain it. Tell people what they can expect.
Yes, so on April the 26th, that is this coming up Saturday from 11 to 3 at the Dean and Barbara White Center in Maryville, Indiana. That is 6600 Broadway. Even if you're in Chicago, come on down. Any of the suburbs, come on down. Anyone can come. You can expect to, when you walk in, that there is love. We have over 35 volunteers with their hands open, ready to serve you. We have many, many services. We have 97 vendors that will be in the room. I did this almost like how I said at the clinic, like, what are the services that women really need to know about, right? Like, what are some things that we really want to bring under one roof? Because sometimes it's hard to know about different programs and different things that are available to you. And so I'm like, well, let's bring it under one roof. So we'll have 97 vendors that range all the way from health and wellness to massages, to, because for women, they want massages, they want to feel better, right? To employment empowerment, to financial development. We have a realtor that'll be there. I mean, there will be so many things, but of course, a lot of health services. We have a menopause expert that will be there. We will have a fireside chat where we'll have a chat just sort of like what we're doing, where we talk to an OBGYN and also a menopause expert who also is an OBGYN. There will be free haircuts. There will be free hair braiding that is provided and sponsored out here. We also have giveaways such as car seats, high chairs. We have car seat checks. We have a lot of testing for children, such as lead testing, hearing screening. We have free teeth cleaning with
Yeah.
fluoride treatment. A dentist is coming in to do that. And even for the adults, we have oral cancer screening and oral screening where you will be referred to a dentist, if they can tell you sort of exactly what's going on with your oral health. So we are bringing in everyone. We want the women to come, the men to come. It's a women's wellness fair because I'm OBGYN. But we know the importance of a man to also be there, the partners of these individuals to be there, as well as their children, the aunts, the uncles, the cousins. Please come. There is something there for everyone. And of course, free food. You know, we love music. There will be a DJ that is there playing music. I mean, I have children's yoga coming that I didn't even know was in this era. Children's yoga, occupational therapy. I even have someone coming about DNA testing because my patients would ask me, "Hey, Dr. Dominique, how do I get my DNA test?" I'm like, I don't know. So I reached out to just as many people as I could think of. We have colleges there. We have so many people just in what my patients deal with. Of course, diabetes, cancer prevention, breast cancer support groups, all types of things, just to make sure that everyone has something there to make sure that that their wellness and their health are taken care of.
You are covering everything. No, I'm going to say it like this, everything.
And I
You
just like this is
got
the
it
tip of the
covered.
iceberg. There's vendors we had to turn away. There's more, right? Oh, we have literacy. We have a Gary Literacy Coalition that will be there to make sure that you read to your babies. People there about nutrition and health. So I know it's just the tip of the iceberg. It's going to get bigger and better every single year.
I don't know how it can get better, but I guess it can. But it's really good. It's pretty good. And you're calling this the one-stop resource hub. That makes
One stop resource hub. Last year was called the Women's Health Fair. We then transitioned the name to the Women's Wellness Fair because this is more about health. You know, your physical health, your financial health, your mental health. That is all important, and all of those things will be under one roof to make sure that that families are taken care of, as well as resources, right? So, you know, sometimes I last year I had the double strollers. That was the first thing to go. So please know I bought way more double strollers this time
oh,
because I
wow.
didn't even think about it. I bought like 10 regular single strollers, but my double strollers was the first to go. I'm like, these women have multiple children.
Yeah.
They need the double strollers. So we're there to say, hey, we know sometimes it's hard. It takes sometimes $300. $200 to get your hair braided. We know times can be hard. Things are changing in the climate that we're in. We just want you to know that we are here in the area to make sure that you're taken care of. And this is something that I'm really focusing on Gary, Indiana. I want the people from Gary, Indiana to come. I really want this event to get back to Gary, Indiana. That's where we had it last year. The people were so excited we were there, but it just didn't work out this year. But Gary is supporting me. The first lady of Gary will be there. So we're just trying to make sure that, you know, we really touch on the areas that need it. And everyone in this area, Northwest Indiana, needs support. And we get that. That's why we're saying everyone come, but especially to my women in Gary, please, if you can get down, please come to this event. Just come right down the street to on Broadway to Maryville. And of course, if you want to come from Chicago or any of the surrounding suburbs, you're welcome.
And you don't have to be pregnant. You don't have to be, I mean, what if you don't even have kids and you say, hey, but I would mind, just coming because I got nieces and nephews, or, I just want to come. Can you come? It's
Absolutely,
only
absolutely.
for
You
moms and pregnant women.
that is exactly because it takes the whole community. You know, we say it takes a village to raise a child.
It
It's
does.
going to take a whole village to make sure that our women are taken care of. And you can go to Eventbrite. So we do have a Instagram page, which is Prenatal Well, and
Okay.
on that you can get information. And there's the link to the Eventbrite. You can easily go to Eventbrite and just type in Prenatal Well or Maryville, Indiana. That will lead you to all the events that are going, and then you can register there. It's highly suggested, but you don't have to register. We'll accept anyone at the door, but highly suggested so we know, how many people are coming from that standpoint. But yes, you can follow us on Prenatal Well. We also have a Facebook, and then we also are available at info@prenatalwell.org.
Okay. Okay. So Instagram, one more time. We're on Instagram.
Prenatal Well, that's PRENTALWELL. So there's no underscores or anything, just Prenatal Well. And then if you search Prenatal Well, same thing on Facebook, you can find us there. And
Mhm.
then for the event specifically, you can go to Eventbrite, and it's a free event. Nothing costs, nothing, no one will ask you for any money. Now I'm gonna put a tip jar for our braiders to see if the moms will give some of the braiders some tips. But besides that, nothing costs. The food is free. The Every service in the room is free. You just come and get the resources, and even all of the giveaways and the raffles are all free.
Now you can't beat that with a stick. I mean, you cannot. But again, it's free, but it would make sense for them to register, y'all. I mean, only because, like you said, so you can have enough food, so you're gonna have enough to drink. It's or pops or whatever. Well, I don't know if you're gonna have pops because I don't know.
Water, we'll have water.
Bottled water, right, right, because I know you're trying to be healthy. They probably got enough pops at home. But bottom line, just so you can know,
Yes.
that makes sense.
Mhm.
So you're expecting about how many you think?
Oh, so last year we thought we were going to have 100, and over 400 women and children showed up. So we're expecting between 600 to 700 individuals. So please come early, right? Get there, get your services done, because the haircuts are first come, first serve. The braiding is first come, first serve. So I have 4 braiders that will be there braiding from 11 to 3 o'clock. But you want to get there, get your name signed up. If you're coming and getting your hair braided, make sure your little girl's hair is washed and blow dried. It needs to be washed and blow dried. We don't have any way to,
And the braids,
wash anyone's hair.
no braid, nobody's taking down braids.
Oh, no, 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 no. We're not taking no braids down. You got to come, but we are providing all of the products. You don't have to bring anything unless you have something special that you'd like them to use. Sure, you could ask that. But all the products, but all of the haircuts. We have over six barbers that will be there providing haircuts for all the men. Now, there's no age limit on that. We let all the men come in. Anyone that wants to get their hair cut can come in. One of my braiders even said she does twists. So if like twist is your thing, so we're not gonna do no micro braids. We're not doing no,
Right, right. That's gonna
we
take
gotta make
10
sure we
hours. Yeah, nobody
yes,
trying to do 5 and 10 hours on one head.
yes,
Probably not even
yes,
3 hours on one head.
yes,
But
yes,
right, so something simple and nice.
yes.
It's at the Dean and Barbara White Center, 6600 Broadway in Maryville. But you are asking all of Northwest Indiana to come, as well as parts of Cook County.
Absolutely. Cook County, feel free to come. Feel free to come, Cook County, because again, if we take care of each other, and a lot of you, I've taken care of a lot of women. I've delivered women that were from Chicago. They're here in Gary visiting a cousin. Their water breaks. Hey, so we're just separated by a border, just a different government, a different state, but we are all one.
Amen. One big family,
Yes,
and God help us all. And we all need to help each other for real.
yes.
For real, for real. Okay, Dr. Maya Dominique. I mean, OB-GYN, prenatal well, and getting ready for this women's annual women's or second annual women's wellness fair this Saturday, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. What if somebody wants to volunteer? Are you taking last minute volunteers or you're like maybe next year?
Maybe next year reach out to us, because we do hand select our volunteers, because we want to make sure when the people walk in the door that they feel loved, and we want people there that want to serve people,
Right.
and we make sure that our volunteers are seen. So every volunteer will have on a prenatal well shirt with volunteer on the back. So, and we have volunteers that speak both English and Spanish. So even if you speak Spanish, please come. We have that all taken care of. So yes, please reach out if this is something that you're interested in. If you're interested in being a vendor next year, please let us know. Me and my husband start working on this very soon after it's over, because of the amount of work and dedication and time that we put into it. But yes, please come out. Oh, I even have whole logic that's coming, abnormal bleeding, and the community is huge, right? A lot of heavy periods, menstrual fibroids.
Okay.
They're coming. You can even touch the equipment that we as the OBGYNs use in the operating room. So when you go to your doctor, you can say, hey, do you do the MyoSure? Do you do the NovaSure? You know what the hysteroscopy looks like? So I'm trying to hit all areas, because I would want to know what someone's using on me in the operating room. So yeah, just as I'm thinking, and if you don't mind, let me just say a thank you to my sponsors.
Yes.
Their Legacy Foundation, Methodist Hospital, Miriam Health Centers. We have the Urban League of Northwest Indiana, Young Blood Youth Development Homes, and Care Source. So, and if I don't think I forgot any, but if I
Transitional
did forget,
residence for youth. Transitional residence for youth. No, yes.
yes, well, that is my sister that is not here. She helped
Oh,
sponsor this event.
wow.
So she gives back. She has 3 group homes in Wichita, Kansas, that she serves
Hey.
young men. And so yes, she did give. So yes, but it's not
Okay.
here, but it's there. But she'll be at the event if you want to meet her.
Okay. All right. What if somebody wants to donate to the event?
Oh, let me tell you, you
Not
can
just
please.
things, but money. What if can they donate money to help you out?
Please help us out. This is something that me and my husband have taken on. Last year, I had a large sponsor that did not give that large amount of money this year. And every little bit has count. But yes, we are still coming out of our own pockets. Me and my husband are funding a large portion of this, because we were like, it's going to happen. And so we prayed about it. And I've already said, I said, Lord, you already know what I need, and you're not going to allow me to go hungry. So we'll just get it done, and whatever people can give. But absolutely, we take sponsors. We are a 501c3. So it's all tax deductible. So you let us know if you are able to give. Thank you for that, Effie. We are still taking sponsors. Absolutely.
Amen. There's some folk out here, hey, He's going to use somebody to do it, so might as well just put it out there. You never know who's
Absolutely.
listening. You never know who say, hey, let me help. One more time before you go, tell us how to get in touch, how to follow you on social media. One more time.
Yes. So Prenatal Well is Instagram. Also, Prenatal Well is the Facebook. You can also email us at info@prenatalwell.org. And then to register, you can go to the Eventbrite, and you can type in Maryville, Indiana, because it typically asks you the location. or type in prenatal wellness search. It will come up as the Prenatal Well Women's Wellness Annual Women's Wellness Fair. And so that is how you can get in contact with us. Again, personally, that info at Prenatal Well will go directly to our email addresses. But we are here standing ready for any emails that come through or any information that anyone wants to know. I can send you flyers. I've tried to place those on social media platforms, but I have flyers in English and in Spanish. But 6600 Broadway, Maryville, Indiana, 11 to 3, April 26th, which is this Saturday. Meet us there.
Please bring the whole family. But thank you, Dr. Maya, Dominique, and my cousin, y'all. I mean, I would do this if she wasn't my cousin, you know what I'm saying? But I just think it's so important, and it's such a great thing that you and your husband are doing. Thanks for saying yes to the call. I mean, that's a huge undertaking. Um,
Yes,
and
yes.
I know you worked 100 hours before. I'm sure it's about 85 now, right?
I mean, I guess sort of as you're saying you're my cousin, I'm like, I see why people sometimes hyphenate their name because my last name is Rolfe. And if they saw that, they'd be like, oh, are you guys related? But it's Dominique now. But yeah, but absolutely. Thank you so much, Effie, for this opportunity. I really do appreciate everything that you've done so far to get the word out and show how much you care for this community to ensure that this information is being disseminated around the community.
Yeah, we were just highlighting women during Women's History Month, but hey, really, there's so many fabulous women, just like yourself, that's doing stuff year round that need to be celebrated just at any given time. So thank you for trying to raise awareness for women's health. Thank you for just really caring. You know what? I have to say, you love God because when you love God, you love people and you
Mm,
really have a passion and compassion to help people. Nobody really just goes out of their way to do this
mm,
much because now we're in a
mm.
time where people don't even want to work. People just do enough to get by. You know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
just do enough.
Yeah.
To me, you are going so beyond the call of duty. Thank you. Thank you for that. And I pray that everything you give out, I know God's going to give it back exponentially. So thank you
Amen.
for doing it, Dr. Dominique. And we are so godly proud of you. Keep up the great work.
Thank you so much, Effie.
All righty. God bless you, Dr. Dominique, Maya Dominique of Prenatal Well, getting ready for the second annual Women's Wellness Fair this Saturday. Dean and Barbara White Center, 6600 Broadway in Maryville, Indiana, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. You know what they used to say? Be there or be square. All right, girl. God bless you. And thank you so much for joining us today, okay?
Thank you so much, Effie.
All right. God bless.
Have a great day.